No, but ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you being here with us. This is Let's Talk College Football. And yes, it's Saturday, but one of the best parts of college football is there's games on Thursday and there's games on Friday. Let's start with Thursday and a team that started off the season and so got their season back on track, if you will. They were 1-2, which surprised me. But West Virginia crushes 2-1 at the time. Virginia Tech 33-10. Like I said, I came into this game thinking West Virginia was better than they are. I didn't know I wasn't looking at the records. I thought West Virginia was higher because of that first game, and then everything I've seen from Virginia Tech was the loss to ODU. So in my mind, their season is done. It's over. Yeah. You know what I mean? When you see this, what did you think about this game, and what did you think about this?
Yeah, so like looking at West Virginia, I mean, obviously they played Pitt, and that was an awesome game. Yeah. Kansas shocked the world. They went to overtime with them, but Kansas is undefeated, so that doesn't look as bad.
Exactly.
And then you destroyed Towson. So I'd say West Virginia's competition has been better. I mean, they didn't lose to Old Dominion, but to me, West Virginia was one of the better 1 and 2 teams in the country. Yeah. So the score doesn't surprise me too much. This is kind of what I expected, just based on what Virginia Tech showed us this year. But they're a much better team than Virginia Tech.
Oh yeah, and look, and we're not saying that Virginia Tech doesn't have players; they have studs all around.
They're good,
but they're still a young team. They're under a new first-year head coach. They're still trying to get it together. West Virginia, led by the transfer quarterback JT Daniels, had over 200 yards and a touchdown. Kind of pedestrian when you really break it down, but still getting the job done. But the guy that we talked about once before, definitely want to bring him up again. True freshman, CJ Donaldson. Over 100 yards again on 23 carries, has almost 5 yards a carry. The guy is consistently moving the ball down the field, and towards the middle of that game where it was a little closer, where it kind of looked like it could go either way, he was that difference in my opinion. When the passing game necessarily wasn't taking the top off the defense, he was consistently getting those third and shorts, fourth and shorts, where he's constantly moving the ball down the field and keeping and chewing up that clock. And that was huge for West Virginia. And then look, late in the game, they put it away. And then towards the end, got the pick 6 by the true freshman corner. And that was all she wrote right there. That was all she wrote. This is an old school Big East matchup, man.
It really was, yeah.
Brings me back to those good old days, man. I miss it, man. I miss it. We got Syracuse. UConn was in there, West Virginia, Miami, FSU back in the day, man. Come on now. Those were the days. Well, that wasn't the only game that went on last night. There was on Thursday night. There's 2 others. Coastal Carolina stays undefeated, beating Georgia State 41-24. Alex, I've heard a lot about Georgia State over the last couple weeks. Obviously with the ups, coming in and playing some games, almost getting upsets and this and that. I haven't heard anything about Coastal, and they're quietly 4-0.
Yeah, you look at it, if you look draft eligible players, like Grayson McCall is one of those kind of up and coming quarterbacks that's slowly climbing the rankings. And like he had a really good game on Thursday, like 19-27. So it was accurate, getting the ball where it needed to be, almost 300 yards and a couple touchdowns, no interceptions.
Yeah.
So it was like he did his damage when he needed to. The running back Beasley had 142 yards on 25 carries. So it was constant offense.
Yeah.
Anytime they needed to move the ball, they did it willingly. Yeah. And it was just really impressive to watch.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And look, they're quietly doing it, but it's a resounding move by their offense. Like you said, getting big name yards on that offense. And Georgia State is no slouch. I talked about almost getting the upset against us. They pushed us to the wire in North Carolina. They barely lost to Charlotte. They lost them 42-41. So they've been in all these games. They are no slouch. And to see them play Coastal the way they did but Coastal at the end of the day got the W. And look, we've had the Cincinnatis. UTEP a year ago was 11-1. We know what teams like Houston can do. Is Coastal Carolina one of these teams that maybe towards the end of the year we might start having to put some votes for to be up in that upper echelon?
There's gonna be an argument to be made if they run the table, because they're gonna play some really good teams along the way, like Marshall, Appalachian State. James Madison is still undefeated, so you've got that. They're gonna have to beat Virginia too in Virginia. So they're gonna have to, if they run the table and win all these games, there's gonna be an argument to be had for sure.
Oh yeah. And so, hey, pay attention to that, ladies and gentlemen, because Coastal is definitely like similar to a BYU, similar to some of these teams that aren't getting as much attention, but we've seen what App State's done this year. Coastal is that type of team. You know what I mean? Let's go back a couple years ago. Grayson McCall, I believe, was a sophomore, and they played BYU. In the 2020 year, and they were able to get the upset, and everybody was going into the game talking Zach Wilson, and at the end of the day, they started saying Grayson McCall, who's this guy? So he put himself on the map. So watch out for Coastal, man, because they might do something. The other game of that night was Chattanooga playing Illinois. Illinois blanking Chattanooga 31-0. Glad to see Illinois continuing to get W. And hey, Illinois 3-1 going into Big Ten play. They need it. Let's go.
Yeah, it's a good look.
Yeah. So let's see that. Then let's move on to the Friday night games. Last night, speaking of teams that are doing pretty well and under the radar, Syracuse gets the W over Virginia 22-20 off the 5 field goal game. They're undefeated.
Yeah.
I like the Qs, baby. The Orange Men. I like this. Talk to me, Alex.
They're a lot of fun to watch, and it's the main thing I got from Syracuse is the same thing the ACC's been doing all year, and it looks really good for them to get a champion into the playoff.
Yeah.
Is all these teams are hanging on. Like Syracuse is undefeated, FSU's undefeated. Like a lot of these teams that nobody expected to really do anything are doing whatever they have to do to win games.
Yep.
So that's going to look a lot better for a Clemson or a Wake Forest or a North Carolina or one of these teams. Like if they kind of run the table in the ACC and take down some of these teams, it helps your resume a lot when these teams are looking this good. So I hope they can keep it up and just keep having fun football all across the board, because that conference has been a lot of fun so far. Oh, did I freeze?
We're making something happen, man. And, I was really concerned with what they were going to do. We talked about DeVito leaving and transferring out, but Schrader stepped in over 250 yards and, only 1 interception, did not get a touchdown. But you have Sean Tucker, who I've been talking about all season, getting over 100 yards from scrimmage, 60 on the ground and 45 in the air. Complimentary football on offense. Guys playing Gadsden over 7 catches, over 100 yards. So the offense is making things happen. But what I say is complimentary football, special teams. Your special teams, when you get a guy that kicks Mr. Smith, getting 5 field goals and an extra point, 16 points on by himself. That's huge. A lot of people, you played O-line, I played running back, so we know what the special teams does at practice. You know what I mean? But if they come in at the right time and they do their job, then they're the best player on the field.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those things where, as the special teams player, you're either the big man on campus or you're the most hated player on campus. Just based on whether you do your job or not in the clutch.
Yeah. Absolutely. Kyle saying early prediction, first quarterback off the board, which team and which QB? Ooh, I'm going to go Bryce Young, and I'm going to go, he's not going to y'all. I'm going to go Bryce Young, and I'm going to go Giants. I think they fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go CJ Stroud.
Mm.
And I'm going to go with, it can't be Houston. They have the tie. That's going to bump them up.
Yeah.
I think it might be Atlanta. Just because I don't think they're going to be at the place where they can get Will Anderson.
No.
I think Chicago's going to finish worse than them. Yeah. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah.
And then I think they get Will Anderson and they just jumpstart that rebuild. So, Atlanta, Carolina, I'm looking at Houston if a bunch of other teams tie or win more games than them.
Mm-hmm. Which is still very possible.
It's still very possible, yeah.
So, yeah, we will see. Appreciate the question, my guy. Yeah. So, one thing I did want to talk about really quickly, Virginia. You know, I touted them in the offseason, and especially quarterback Brennan Armstrong, but they have a new coach now. They don't have Mendenhall. Things have changed a little bit, and he's really suffered. He only had, just under 200 this game, and he's used to having 400-yard games. You know, he ended it with like almost 4,500 yards a year ago.
Yeah.
I mean, the ACC, I was touting them as quarterback U now, and it's not looking like that for Armstrong. Is this just this game, or should I be worried? Or
it's a tough spot because they haven't really played the best of competition. So it's a lot of schools where he should have handled that business, and he hasn't necessarily. Like Richmond, I mean, they put up 34 points. They scored in bunches, but they lost 24-3 to Illinois. They barely beat Old Dominion 16-14, and then lost this one 22-20. So it's kind of worrisome for a guy that's been so good, but it's not entirely on him either. It's
true.
Like you said, new coach. I haven't watched much of Illinois, so maybe the offensive line isn't giving as much protection. Maybe the receivers aren't getting as open or dropping passes. Or there's so many different factors that go into it.
Yeah.
But I'd start to worry a little bit.
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm with you on that. And yeah, we'll see. Now, I like this for when North Carolina plays them, then yes, struggle all day long. But yeah, I do want to take a look at that. Definitely want to take a look. One other game, we also had Nevada played Air Force. Air Force blew out Nevada 48-20. But another game, Boise State was highly favored against the University of Texas El Paso and lost 27-10 to the Miners. Wow. First and foremost, what happened here? I'm sorry, I did not see this coming.
Well, to me, one of the hardest things to do, I'd say the hardest thing to do in college football is go on the road and play. Yep. So Boise State went to El Paso. But I mean, you look at UTEP's schedule so far, they got blown out by North Texas. Yeah. Blown out by Oklahoma. They beat New Mexico State by a touchdown, who was arguably the worst team in college football.
Right.
That was New Mexico State, and then they lost to New Mexico. So it's like, how did you lose that Boise State? Like, that's one where if you're a Boise State fan, you hide for a week.
Right? Yeah. You're like, I don't want to watch football for a while. Look, when you break it down, shout out to Harding, their quarterback, 10 of 11 for 123 yards. What that lets me know is they let him do just enough. You're doing these select plays, go out there and run it. But the biggest part about today, I had almost 200 rushing yards between four backs, including three of those backs that had over 40 yards, led by Hankins with 86 yards on 21 carries. Boise State grinded out the clock. UTEP grinded out the clock, kept the ball on the ground, and that played a huge factor, and it showed in the time of possession. They doubled up Boise State in time of possession, over 40 minutes of time of possession in that game. 322 total yards. Boise State just did not look like they look like what we expected UTEP to look like in this game. So it really makes you wonder, because even Bachmeier, the quarterback for Boise State, didn't even get over 100 yards passing. So we're talking about
34,
right?
As well.
We talk about coaches on the hot seat.
You might want to add their coach.
You get a performance like this. This is just not something that you want to see. It brings down Boise State to 2-2, but gives UTEP a little hope. 2-3, baby. 2-3. Now, if we can get one more New Mexico or one more Boise or so,
there's a few of those games on their schedule.
They got some Rice. They got FIU. UTSA, that's 1-2. That is very surprising.
Now UTSA has played much tougher teams, but
very true, very, very true. But like you said, they have a schedule where they should make some moves, but this is definitely a bright spot for them early in the season, and hopefully something they can build off of for sure. So
thanks for watching. If you like that clip, be sure to check out the other great content from the Let's Talk Football community. And as always, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when more great content like this becomes available.